Donald Trump is one of the most famous and controversial figures in modern American history. Born on June 14, 1946, in Queens, New York. He grew up in a wealthy family. His father, Fred Trump, was a successful real estate developer, and his mother, Mary Ann MacLeod, was a homemaker who had immigrated from Scotland. From a young age, Donald Trump learned about business by working with his father. He attended the New York Military Academy as a teenager, where he developed confidence and leadership skills. Later, he studied economics at the University of Pennsylvania's Wharton School, one of the best business schools in the country. After graduating, Trump joined his father's company, the Trump Organization. He soon began working on big projects in Manhattan, where he built luxury hotels, office towers, and apartment buildings. One of his most famous projects was Trump Tower, a 58-story skyscraper on Fifth Avenue in New York City. The building became a symbol of his success, with its shiny glass exterior and expensive shops inside. Trump also owned casinos in Atlantic City, New Jersey, but some of these businesses failed, forcing him to declare bankruptcy several times. Despite these setbacks, he always found a way to recover and continued building his empire. In the 1990s and early 2000s, Trump became even more famous as a television personality. He was the host of a reality show called The Apprentice, where contestants competed in business challenges to win a job in his company. The show was a huge success, and Trump became known for his catchphrase, "You're fired." His confident and sometimes harsh personality made him a popular figure in entertainment. He also wrote several books about business and success, including The Art of the Deal, which became a bestseller. Trump had always been interested in politics, but he had never held public office before. In 2015, he announced that he was running for president as a Republican. Many people were surprised because he had no experience in government. However, his bold and direct way of speaking attracted a lot of attention. He promised to make America great again, and focused on issues like immigration, trade, and national security. Unlike other politicians, he often used social media, especially Twitter, to communicate with the public. His tweets were sometimes controversial, but they kept him in the news every day. During the 2016 Republican primary elections, Trump defeated many experienced politicians, including Jeb Bush and Ted Cruz. At the Republican National Convention in July 2016, he officially became the party's presidential candidate. His son, Donald Trump Jr., announced New York's votes for him, saying, "Congratulations, Dad, we love you." Trump won 725 delegate votes, much more than the 237 he needed to secure the nomination. His opponent in the general election was Hillary Clinton, a Democrat who had been First Lady, a U.S. Senator, and Secretary of State. The 2016 election was one of the most divisive in American history. Trump criticized Clinton for her use of a private email server while she was Secretary of State, calling her "crooked Hillary." Clinton, in turn, called Trump unqualified and dangerous. Many people expected Clinton to win, but on election day, Trump won key states like Florida, Pennsylvania, and Ohio. He received fewer total votes than Clinton, but won the Electoral College, which decides the presidency in the United States. His victory shocked the world, and he became the 45th President of the United States. As president, Trump made many changes. He signed a major tax cut for businesses and wealthy individuals, which he said would help the economy. He also tried to repeal the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare, but was unsuccessful. One of his biggest promises was to build a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border to stop illegal immigration. Although he did not complete the entire wall, his administration built hundreds of miles of new barriers. He also implemented a policy called zero tolerance, which led to the separation of thousands of migrant children from their parents at the border. This policy was widely criticized, and eventually, the government was forced to reunite the families. Trump's relationship with the media was always tense. He frequently called news organizations like CNN and the New York Times fake news when they reported negative stories about him. Instead, he preferred conservative media outlets like Fox News. His use of Twitter became even more intense during his presidency, and he often tweeted insults at his opponents. Some people found his honesty refreshing, while others thought his behavior was unpresidential. One of the biggest controversies during Trump's presidency was the investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election. Special counsel Robert Mueller led an investigation to determine whether Trump's campaign had worked with Russia to win. Although the investigation found that Russia had tried to influence the election, it did not conclude that Trump's campaign had conspired with them. However, Mueller did find evidence that Trump had tried to obstruct the investigation, but Congress did not impeach him at that time. In 2019, Trump faced another impeachment trial. This time, he was accused of pressuring Ukraine's president to investigate Joe Biden, his political rival, in exchange for military aid. The House of Representatives voted to impeach him, but the Senate acquitted him, allowing him to remain in office. In 2020, Trump ran for re-election against Joe Biden, the Democratic nominee. The election took place during the COVID-19 pandemic, which had a major impact on the country. Trump downplayed the virus at first, but as cases rose, his handling of the crisis was criticized. The election results showed that Biden had won, but Trump refused to accept defeat. He claimed, without evidence, that the election had been stolen through widespread voter fraud. His legal team filed many lawsuits to challenge the results, but none succeeded. On January 6, 2021, a large crowd of Trump supporters gathered in Washington, D.C. for a "Stop the Steal" rally. Trump gave a speech repeating his claims of election fraud and encouraged his supporters to march to the Capitol, where Congress was certifying Biden's victory. The crowd stormed the building, breaking windows and fighting with police. 5 people died in the violence, including a police officer. Many lawmakers hid in fear as the rioters occupied the Capitol for hours. Trump was later impeached for a second time for incitement of insurrection, but the Senate again acquitted him. After leaving office, Trump remained a powerful figure in the Republican Party. He continued to claim that the election had been rigged and supported candidates who agreed with him. In 2022, the FBI searched his Florida home, Mar-a-Lago, and found classified documents that he had taken from the White House. This led to another legal investigation. In 2024, Trump ran for president again, despite facing multiple criminal charges, including a case in New York for falsifying business records to hide a payment to adult film star Stormy Daniels. He won the Republican nomination. The trial in New York was historic. He became the first former U.S. president to be convicted of a crime. The jury found him guilty on 34 felony counts, but Trump called the trial rigged and vowed to appeal. In 2025, Trump returned to the White House after defeating Joe Biden in a close election. One of his first actions was to pardon over 1,000 people involved in the January 6 Capitol riot, including those who had attacked police officers. He also sent the National Guard to Los Angeles to stop protests against his immigration policies. California's Governor, Gavin Newsom, criticized the move, calling it unconstitutional. Trump's second term was marked by even more controversy. He reinstated the names of military bases that had been renamed because they honored Confederate leaders from the Civil War. At a performance of Les Miserables at the Kennedy Center, he was met with both boos and cheers. Some performers refused to attend in protest, but Trump dismissed their criticism, saying, "I couldn't care less." Throughout his life, Donald Trump has been a figure of strong opinions and fierce loyalty from his supporters. His critics see him as a dangerous leader who breaks rules, while his fans believe he fights for ordinary Americans against a corrupt system. Whether loved or hated, his impact on American politics and culture is undeniable. His story is one of ambition, controversy, and resilience, and it continues to unfold even today.